If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
I'll never forget the moment she looked me dead in the eyes, raised her champagne glass, and told an entire wedding hall that I was just a friend. Just a friend. Her words sliced through me sharper than any knife could. My heart didn't just crack, it imploded. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the DJ blasting some pop song, it all faded into static. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't her boyfriend, her partner, the man who had stood by her side for nearly 3 years. I was nothing more than a background prop she could label however she pleased. And here's the worst part. I didn't feel anger at first. I felt confusion. That pathetic, spiraling, self-blaming confusion where your brain scrambles for excuses to protect someone who doesn't deserve it. Maybe she slipped. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe she wanted to keep things private. But then I saw her smirk, the little twitch at the corner of her lips as she glanced at her mother for approval. That was no accident. That was a deliberate omission. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. I leaned forward, smiled politely, and said just loud enough for the entire table to hear, "Actually, she's my ex." The sound of forks clattering onto plates echoed like thunder. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Even the bride's uncle, who'd been rambling about golf all night, went silent. My words detonated in the air, turning the lively table into an ice chamber. Except for one person, her mother. That woman smiled, not with shock, not with pride, but with this knowing, satisfied curve of the lips that said, "Finally." Someone had the guts to pull the curtain back. I still don't know if her smile meant pity or relief, but I'll never forget it. Let me rewind. Her name was Mia. I met her at work. She was in marketing, I was in product design. To me, she was lightning in human form, sharp, stylish, magnetic. For months, I convinced myself she was out of my league. Then one day, impossibly, she wasn't. She was mine. Or at least I thought she was. Being with Mia felt like trying to hold onto a comet with bare hands. Blinding. Fast. Beautiful. But comets burn, and the scars don't show until later. I should have seen the signs. The way she introduced me differently depending on the crowd. Jack from work to colleagues, my +1 to friends, and "this is Jack" to her family, with no label at all. The jabs disguised as jokes, the silences when I talked about the future. I thought she was just private. I thought what we had behind closed doors mattered more than public titles. I was wrong. At her cousin's wedding, the one dripping with fairy lights and overpriced flowers, Mia didn't just fail to claim me. She erased me, in front of everyone. Later I cornered her near the bar, my voice low and steady. "Friend, huh?" Her jaw tensed. She didn't meet my eyes. "Jack, please, don't start." "I'm not starting anything," I replied, forcing, calm. "Just matching your energy." She took a shaky breath, eyes darting toward her family huddled near the dance floor. "You don't get it. This wasn't the time to tell them we're anything more than two people who sometimes end up in the same bed." Her words gutted me. I wanted to scream, to smash the champagne glass in my hand, to demand why I had wasted years being her shadow. But I didn't. I let the silence do the work. And you know what? Her silence said it all. That night, Mia twirled with cousins, slow danced with her father, even lifted her niece onto her shoulders. Everyone but me. She never once reached for my hand. Never once looked at me. Her uncle leaned over during dinner, his whiskey breath heavy, and muttered, "Son, I don't know what that was earlier, but you deserve better than being someone's secret." I didn't answer, because deep down I knew he was right. By midnight, I felt like a stranger watching the woman I loved sparkle in a world where I didn't exist. So I left. I walked out without saying goodbye, ordered an Uber to a dingy motel 3 towns over, and sat on the bed staring at the cracked ceiling. She didn't text. She didn't call. For the first time in years, Mia didn't chase me. The next morning, I returned home. The photo of us still sat on my shelf, taken at her sister's engagement party. Her head rested on my shoulder, my hand wrapped protectively around her. We looked happy. But now I saw the truth. My body leaned into her. Hers pulled slightly away. I finally understood. I had loved her more than she had ever loved me. That afternoon, her text came. "Can we talk?" I almost ignored it. Almost. But curiosity won. "About what?" I replied. Hours passed before she answered. I messed up. I shouldn't have said what I did last night. I panicked. Panicked? That's what she called it. I had been her rock through panic attacks, career setbacks, and breakdowns. I was the one who steadied her when she spiraled, and in front of her family, she panicked and erased me. 3 hours later, she showed up at my door. No makeup, hair tied back, wearing the grey hoodie she used to sleep in on Thursdays. She looked soft, vulnerable, almost like the Mia I had fallen for. "I'm sorry," she whispered before I could speak. I stepped aside and let her in. Old habits die hard. She paced the living room, arms wrapped around herself. "My mum was pressuring me all night about marriage, kids, timelines. I freaked out. I said the wrong thing." I stayed silent. "You know how she is," she added quickly. "She thinks I should be with someone more established." There it was. Not more loving, not more supportive, more established, more impressive. "So, you introduced me as a friend," I said flatly. "I didn't mean it like that." "Then what did you mean?" She sank onto the couch, her shoulders sagging. "I was scared, okay? You're steady. You're the one who stays. I didn't think you'd leave." Her words were a slap across the face. She didn't say, "I didn't want you to leave." She said, "I didn't think you would." That's when it hit me. I wasn't her partner. I was her safety net. The man she kept on the back burner while she waited for someone flashier, richer, more suitable for her mother's approval. I leaned forward. My voice was calm. Too calm. "You're right, I used to be the one who stayed." Her eyes flicked up, confused. "Used to? I'm not him anymore." She blinked, her voice trembling. "What does that mean?" "It means I can't be wallpaper anymore. I can't let you minimize me until I disappear." Her eyes watered. For the first time, I believed the tears were real. But I didn't reach for her. I didn't comfort her. "You said it yourself," I told her. "You didn't think I'd leave. You assumed I'd always be waiting in the background, but that ends tonight." Her lips quivered. "I'm sorry, I know." Silence stretched between us like rubble after a building collapse. Finally, she stood. "I should go." "Yeah." She hesitated at the door. "For what it's worth, I did love you." I nodded. "I believe you." And just like that, she was gone. A week passed. No texts, no calls, no apology that carried any real weight. I thought her absence would be the hardest part. But it wasn't. What haunted me was her mother's smile at the wedding. That calm, resigned smile after I called Mia my ex. It didn't look smug. It didn't look cruel. It looked familiar, like a woman who had lived this same story before. So I reached out to Mia's brother, Darren. We weren't close, but he was decent, the kind of guy who remembered birthdays. I asked him about the wedding, about his mother's reaction. He hesitated before replying. Then he called me, and what he told me changed everything. When Darren called, I braced myself for awkward sympathy. Instead, I got a truth that shook me harder than Mia ever could. He didn't waste time. "Look, Jack," That smile from my mom? It wasn't approval. It wasn't pride. It was recognition. Recognition of what? I asked, my grip tightening on the phone. That she's lived it. My dad wasn't her first choice. He was her safe bet. The dependable man she married after the guy she loved walked away. And for 30 years, she's worn that regret like armor. She never said it out loud, but it poisoned everything. She saw the same pattern forming with Mia. And when you called Mia your ex, that smile was my mum seeing the cycle finally break. I sat there, stunned, trying to process his words. Recognition, regret, a generational curse repeating itself in silence. But I couldn't shake the bitterness clawing at my chest. So I was just Mia's safe option, her placeholder until someone better came along. Darren's sigh crackled through the line. I'm sorry, man, but I think my mum was relieved. Relieved you wouldn't end up like my dad, trapped, resented, erased. For a long time, I said nothing. And when the silence grew too heavy, Darren added quietly, You deserve someone who doesn't flinch at calling you hers. I thanked him, hung up, and sat in the dark. For the first time, I wasn't just angry at Mia, I pitied her. Pity because she was repeating her mother's mistakes. Pity because she'd never know the kind of love she had already lost. But pity is not forgiveness. And it damn sure isn't forgetting. 3 days later, fate decided to test me. I was walking a trail at the park when I saw her. Mia. She wasn't alone. He was tall, polished, radiating the kind of smooth confidence that screams future son-in-law material. She leaned into him, laughed at his every word, touched his arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. Our eyes met across the trail, just for a second. She didn't stop. She didn't introduce me. She kept walking, but I caught it, the flicker in her eyes. Not guilt, not apology, grief. The kind that comes when you realize the one person who loved you without conditions is gone forever. And me? I didn't feel jealousy. I didn't feel rage. I felt free. But freedom wasn't enough. She had erased me, minimized me, humiliated me. And now she thought she could just replace me, waltz into her new picture-perfect romance while I disappeared like an old photograph. No. If Mia thought I was her safety net, she was about to learn what happens when the net snaps. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. A mutual friend, Chris, invited me to a birthday dinner. I almost declined, until he mentioned Mia and her new guy would be there. Perfect. That night, I dressed sharp, sharper than I had in months. Not desperate sharp, confident sharp. The kind of presence that commands attention the second you walk in. When I arrived, the table was buzzing. Mia sat 2 seats down, her hand wrapped tightly around her new boyfriend's. She froze when she saw me. He extended a hand with a cocky smile. Ryan, nice to meet you. I shook it firmly. Jack. The conversation flowed, light and shallow. I listened, observed. Mia laughed too loudly at Ryan's jokes. She stole glances at me when she thought I wasn't looking. And her mother. Oh yes, her mother was there too, watched the entire scene with hawk-like silence. Then Chris, bless his oblivious heart, asked the question that detonated the room. So Jack, what happened between you and Mia anyway? You guys were inseparable for years. The air shifted. Everyone leaned in. Mia's grip on Ryan's hand tightened. I smiled slowly, took a sip of my drink, and said, Well, it's simple. Mia liked to call me her friend. I decided to call her my ex. Turns out I was right. The table went silent, except for one sound. Mia's mother's soft exhale, like she'd been holding her breath for years. Ryan laughed awkwardly. Ouch! Guess there's some history there. I looked him straight in the eye. More than you know. Mia's face went pale. She opened her mouth, but no words came. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt powerful. After dinner, I walked out before dessert. But I knew Mia wouldn't let it end there. Sure enough, the next morning, she showed up at my door again. This time, no hoodie. She was dressed to kill. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, perfume lingering in the air. It wasn't an apology visit. It was damage control. "You embarrassed me last night," she snapped, pushing past me into the apartment. I leaned against the door frame. "No, Mia. You embarrassed yourself when you erased me at that wedding. Last night was just the encore." Her eyes blazed. "You don't get it. Ryan is serious about me. He has a future, a real career. My family approves of him." I laughed. Cold. "So that's what it's about? A resume? A paycheck? Congratulations. You finally found someone shiny enough for your mom." She flinched. "Don't talk about her." "Why not? She's the reason you're repeating her mistakes. Darren told me everything, about your dad, about how she settled. And you? You're just doing the same damn thing, trading love for image." Her face crumbled. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "Here's the difference, Mia. Your mum might have lived with her regret forever. But I won't. You didn't think I'd leave? Well, I did. And now you'll have to live with knowing you pushed away the only man who truly saw you." Tears filled her eyes, but I didn't soften. "Ryan might look good on paper, but paper burns, Mia. One day you'll realize stability isn't the same as love, and when that day comes, don't you dare look for me." She stared at me, broken and furious all at once. "You're cruel." "No, I'm honest. And honesty is the one thing you never gave me." She left without another word. Weeks passed. I thought I'd seen the last of her. But life has a way of twisting the knife. One afternoon, Darren called again. "Hey, thought you should know. Ryan? He's not as polished as he looks. Word at the firm is he's drowning in debt, hiding it behind expensive suits and a leased car. My mom's already suspicious." I almost laughed. The perfect son-in-law candidate was nothing more than a shiny shell. That's when the idea sparked. Revenge. Not the messy, screaming kind. The elegant kind. The kind where the truth exposes itself, and you don't lift a finger except to let the mask slip off someone's face. And Mia. She was about to watch her shiny new life crack wide open. The universe has a cruel sense of humor. Or maybe it was justice finally catching up. A week after Darren's warning, I got an invitation. Another family event. This time, it wasn't Mia's cousin's wedding. It was her younger sister's engagement party. And yes, Mia and Ryan would be there. At first I considered staying away. Why reopen old wounds? But then I realized this wasn't reopening anything. This was closure. This was the stage I didn't know I'd been waiting for. The venue was a lakeside country club, elegant but trying too hard. I arrived early, crisp suit, steady stride. I wasn't coming as the broken man Mia had reduced me to. I was coming as someone who had finally remembered his worth. When I walked in, I saw her instantly. Mia stood beside Ryan, smiling that polished, artificial smile I knew too well. She froze for just a fraction of a second when she saw me, but quickly plastered the grin back on. Ryan, of course, extended his hand like we were old friends. "Jack, good to see you again, man." "Ryan," I replied evenly. "You too." Mia's eyes darted nervously between us. The party unfolded with the usual stiffness, drinks, laughter, endless toasts. But beneath it, I felt the tension humming. I wasn't here to start a scene. No, I was here to let the truth unravel on its own. And it did, faster than I expected. Halfway through dinner, Mia's mother leaned toward me with that same quiet smile she'd worn at the wedding. She whispered, "Watch closely. You'll see." I didn't know what she meant until Ryan stood to make a toast. He raised his glass high, voice booming with practiced charm. "To love, to family, and to building a future together. The applause was polite, but then, like fate itself was holding a spotlight, Ryan's phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up, and the name flashing across it made the room tilt. Collections agency. I wasn't the only one who saw it. Darren did. Mia's mother did. A few cousins did. The whispers spread like wildfire. Ryan, flustered, fumbled to silence the phone. "Spam call," he muttered, forcing a laugh. But it was too late. The crack in his perfect facade had appeared, and everyone smelled blood. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. By dessert, the rumors were already circulating. Ryan was in debt. Ryan was faking success. Ryan wasn't the golden boy he pretended to be. And Mia? Her face had drained of color. She clung to his arm, whispering frantically. But the damage was done. Her mother watched it all with a solemn expression, as if history was replaying itself. But this time, maybe there was still time to stop it. After the party, Mia cornered me outside. Her eyes were wild, desperate. "Did you know?" she demanded. "Know what?" I asked calmly. "About Ryan, about the debt. Did you set this up?" I let out a low laugh. "Mia, I didn't have to set up anything. The truth has a way of showing itself." She shook her head, tears brimming. "You think you're so righteous? You humiliated me again." I stepped closer, voice steady. "No, Mia, I didn't humiliate you. You humiliated yourself when you reduced me to just a friend. You humiliated yourself when you chased image over love. Tonight, that was karma catching up." Her lips trembled. "He was supposed to be the one. My family finally approved. He was my chance to fix everything. And now you see it," I said softly. "Approval doesn't equal happiness. Status doesn't equal love. You threw away someone who loved you fully for someone who only looked good on the surface. And surfaces crack." She broke then. Tears streamed down her face, shoulders shaking. For a second I almost reached for her. Almost. But I stopped myself. Because pity isn't love, and forgiveness isn't forgetting. "Mia," I said quietly, "I don't hate you, but I'll never go back. You taught me something, though. Love should never make you invisible. And the second it does, it isn't love anymore." She covered her face with her hands, sobbing. I turned and walked away. Months passed. I moved forward. I started running again, picked up old hobbies, reconnected with friends I had neglected while orbiting around Mia's world. And slowly, the weight lifted. Every now and then I'd hear things. Ryan had left the picture, predictably. Mia was back to square one, her reputation bruised, her confidence rattled. Some said she was trying to reinvent herself. Others said she was chasing another perfect candidate. But none of it mattered, because I had finally learned the truth. Closure doesn't come from someone else admitting their mistakes. It comes from refusing to let their mistakes define you. One afternoon, I ran into Mia's mother at the grocery store. She stopped me by the produce section, her hand gentle on my arm. "You did the right thing," she said softly. I frowned. "By leaving?" She nodded. "By not repeating what I did. I stayed. I settled. And it hollowed me out. Watching you walk away, it was like watching someone rewrite the story I wish I'd written for myself." Her words landed heavier than I expected. For a moment I saw her not as Mia's mother, but as a woman who had once been me. A woman who had once loved fully, lost painfully, and then chosen safety over passion. "I hope Mia learns," I said. Her mother sighed. "She might, or she might not. But you're free. Don't waste that." And with that she walked away, leaving me with a strange peace I hadn't known I needed. The last time I saw Mia was months later, a random afternoon in the city. She was walking alone, no Ryan, no polished smile. Just her, a shadow of the woman I once knew. Our eyes met briefly. There was no anger there anymore, just emptiness. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. We passed each other like strangers, and in that moment I realized the final truth. Love doesn't die with fireworks. It dies in silence, when you finally stop hoping they'll change, when you finally stop shrinking yourself to fit their comfort. I once thought being safe was an insult, that I wasn't exciting enough, flashy enough. But now I know better. I wasn't her safety net. I was her anchor. I was her quiet, steady place in a storm she never valued. And she lost it. Not because I wasn't enough, but because she couldn't see that I already was. And me? I'll never make that mistake again. Because the greatest revenge isn't rage, or exposing someone's lies, or even watching them fall apart. The greatest revenge is living well, stronger, wiser, freer than they ever imagined you could. And that's exactly what I intend to do.